see dope people. Welcome back to Dope People. This is a show where we talk to dope people. Today I got my Star Wars shirt on because my guest today is a blurred just like me, so I know you would appreciate this particular T-shirt. So listen,
Captain America thing over here.
Oh,
I got a lot of layers.
It's cold in the office.
Right. It is absolutely cold in the office.
I bet. So, dope, for those of you who did not grow up in the 80s like me, simply means really awesome, wonderful, something great. And so dope people on this show, we like to talk to people who either have done something dope like one time or are doing dope things over the course of time, like different days. And so today I have my guest his name is Anthony Otero. I am very happy to have you on board. Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm doing really well. I can't complain.
All right, so let's get started. Anthony, who do you think is dope? Who have you met in your life that you think is a dope person or somebody that you actually know?
First, I have to answer this question by saying I have to mention my partner, because if I don't do that, then, my partner is absolutely the dopest person that I know. And I think she deserves all the credit for where I am in my life. Outside of that, I would say the dopest person that I know, that I can say that I know, his name is Rahman Ali Bug. He is my ex-roommate from my Syracuse days. He is a producer. He basically does a lot of stuff on TV that I'm sure everyone has seen at some point. I would say look him up. You'll find out who he is. And if you follow him on Instagram, he posts a lot. I will say that. So, but no, he's my brother in many ways. I'm very proud of what he does. I don't talk to him as much because he is just doing it all. But I am so happy to have, known him and stuff. So yeah, I would say that he's definitely one of the dopest people that I know, outside of you and my partner, of course.
Oh, no, don't add me to that mix. I just simply walk through this world trying to.
Right.
So, but no, listen, I totally vouch for your partner, and Alibug is definitely on that list as well. Really amazing producer. Well, awesome. Well, let me tell you why I think that you're dope, or something that I think that you have done that is pretty dope. I mentioned earlier on that you and I are blurs. You are far more heavily into it than I am, and far more connected than I am. But one of the things that I found really rewarding, and something that I wanted to really model myself after, was you being able to take your art and really do something that you were passionate about and make a difference. So you wrote a piece for Puerto Rico Strong. You were a contributor in a compilation book called Puerto Rico Strong. And Puerto Rico Strong was a book that was put together to raise funds for the residents of Puerto Rico after the hurricane. There've been so many hurricanes, I lost track of which one.
Hurricane Maria.
Okay. I feel like every time a hurricane comes through, it's like, and we're going to stop at Puerto Rico because, we left luggage there from the last one.
That's fair.
Yeah. So this book was put together, and you were able to contribute to this book and actually make a difference in the lives of people in Puerto Rico. And it is really tough to take what you're doing and not just make money for yourself or gratify your own passions, but to then have an influence on somebody who is not you, especially for people who are in need. So for me, that is one of the dope things that you have done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm very proud of that. So thank you very much.
Excellent. And it got an award, right? What was the award that it got?
It won an Eisner Award for the best graphic novel of that year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a powerful moment because one of the things is that when you do something like that, you tend to do things like that for free because you're really trying to help other folks. You know, to do that and to get recognized as a whole for this ensemble was just something I never even thought would be. That's not why, you write the story. You write the story because you want to sell the book so that the money can go there. And then for it to just sort of happen the way it did, it was special for sure.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive, and I was very, very happy to be able to say I know that too. All right, Anthony, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come right back because I want to hear what you think makes you dope. Ready for that?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll be right back. And we are back. And again, we have Anthony Otero as our guest today. One of the dopest people that I know. He is an author. He's an educator. He's a dope dad. He's a really amazing partner, and one of my closest friends. So I'm really happy that he's on the show today because there's a lot of dopeness that's happening in Anthony. But that's coming from me. I want to know what you think you do that is dope, or a dope thing that you have done. Now, that could be something as simple as you helped a poor kitten across the road when a car was coming, or it could be that you every weekend you go down to the local Boys and Girls Club and teach them how to read or something like that. No, they already know how to read in the Boys and Girls Club. You get my point. So, Anthony, you take it away. What makes you dope?
This is a very hard question to answer, especially for someone who doesn't necessarily, build themselves up. I mean that in the sense of, I'm not the type of person to just be like, oh, I'm going to self-nominate for myself for awards or anything like that. But I think, honestly, I think my journey in writing is probably something that I would consider to be dope. And I know we talked about comic books and stuff like that, but, I feel like I've been fighting this urge to write when I was a kid, and then your parents are telling you that's not going to make you any money, and they're not wrong.
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong. They're not wrong. But to sort of follow that passion of, I feel like I need to continue to write. That started my journey back in 2008 when I started a blog and consistently wrote and continued to write, and then that leveled me up to writing for the Huffington Post, which I thought was interesting. I wrote a couple of things for that. And then from there, starting my journey to be a novelist, writing 2 novels. I am writing my 3rd one. I know that you want to know that. But from there, sort of the connection that I've made to get to the comic book realm, to be a podcaster, and to sort of, be in the realm of comic books and Comic Cons. All that stuff is things that I never thought I would be able to do, and that's not even my full-time job. Right. So I think that that's something that I've been proud of myself, and I've taken a little break because I got a child. He's 19 months, and I'm on his schedule, so I don't get to do a lot of the things that I want to do, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm still kind of plugged in the ways that I can. So
absolutely,
that's my answer.
And he's adorable. I thank God for your partner, because if it was left to you, man, it's like we don't know what will happen.
That's true. That's true.
So you mentioned 2 books, and I'm happy to hear that you are writing the 3rd because we have been anxiously awaiting the 3rd one. Tell us about the 2 books. Tell us the names of the 2 books, and you said that you're a podcaster. So like, plug your show.
Sure. So my first book is called Hanging Upside Down. I wrote that 2014. That's like 10 years ago. So it's about a guy who's got a lot of problems, and he makes a lot of terrible decisions to get to where he finally ends up in the book. It is written, honestly, my intended audience were for men. Guys who read this book really understand what this dude is going through. But a lot of the readers that I have are women. Like those, they seem to intend to enjoy the book more because guys tend to not read as much. That's just a fact. So I follow that up. I'm basing that on my family. I know. And it's okay. I'm okay with that. my second book is sort of a follow-up. It's sort of a prequel sequel called The Book of Isabel. The name may not mean much unless you read the first book. And it really talks about, and it really gets into the younger version of this male character. And really, it's a lot of psychological stuff of why men do what they do, and how, one broken relationship can lead to other broken relationships. And that's really what the two books are about. And what the third book is eventually going to be about is sort of like a trilogy of a sense of me basically closing all the open plot lines and stories and stuff like that. But I've thrown some twists in there that should be very interesting.
Can't wait. Can't wait. And the podcast?
The podcast, yes. Thank you for saying that. So in my journey, I became a part of a podcast called Black Comics Chat, which has gone through various iterations. And when I first joined, we were interviewing artists and writers of color, particularly in the comic book world, particularly folks who do independent work. But a lot of those folks are actually now working for Marvel and DC, which is very interesting. So we kind of have followed their journey. But podcasts, they sort of evolve. And right now what we do is we do a show on Twitch called Cartoons and Serial. And what it is basically we look at cartoons from back in the 80s and early 90s and critique them, maybe late 70s, late 90s, depending on what we're feeling. And we kind of critique them in the eyes of now. You know what I mean? So, for example, we watched all the seasons of Gem, which if you were growing up with Gem, it's a really good cartoon, but breaking it down through the lens of today has been very fascinating. So that's currently, our projects. We still do shows on Fridays and Saturdays where we'll watch old movies like blaxploitation movies, or we'll find someone that we want to interview. We've been really picky. But you can find our shows primarily on Twitch, the live ones, but we do have episodes anywhere you can find podcasts, to be quite honest. So
that's dope. That's amazing. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
So at the end of the show, I like to bring up a dope moment in history. And today we're going to talk about Martin Luther King. And, when you talk about Martin Luther King, the man has done a lot of things, a lot of dope things. But I found a fact that was really, really interesting. Martin Luther King Jr. is a Grammy Award winner. And he won a Grammy in 1971 for the spoken word, as a spoken word artist, for his recording of Why I Oppose the Vietnam War. So he said he does this passage, he does this thing, and it wins him a Grammy. So on top of all of the things that we know about MLK Jr., he's also a Grammy Award winner, which I find to be pretty dope.
Yeah, that is dope. Yeah, okay.
All right. So, Anthony, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
You can find me at home raising my son. On social media, you can find me on Instagram and on we'll say Facebook, but Instagram and X, I think that it's called. I barely use it, but I'm still on there. Latin Negro with one N. You can find me on there. I'm also on TikTok. So I do TikTok videos now on the process of writing. So my TikTok, I couldn't use Latin Negro, is Darth Tonito. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is because I'm a nerd. So it's Darth, Tonito, Darth Tonito on TikTok. So hope to see you all there.
And we'll put all of that in the show notes and at the end of the podcast so you can see it there. Anthony, this has been amazing. I want to thank you for hanging out with me. I hope this wasn't too painful for you.
Really wasn't.
And I hope this will probably air before that, but I hope to see you at Con.
Oh, you will. You definitely will.
All right, everybody. This has been another episode of Dope People. We will see you next time. If you have some people that you think are dope that should be on the show, please send me an email. But make sure that you subscribe to this channel and look out for more episodes. And until then, go forth and be dope.